Welcome everyone to another session with Leverage TV. I'm Priyank Jain, Vice President, Leverage Edu, and I'm going to talk about the topic today that's really close to my heart because somewhere while growing up, I definitely wanted to be a lawyer. I am a huge fan of Boston Legal. I kind of grew up watching that, so always wanted to kind of pursue law. End up doing MBA and kind of now kind of figuring out things at Leverage Edu. But yeah, for at least those of you who still harbor that dream of pursuing international law, I'd hope that this session finds it useful and you are able to make some right decisions. So uh, uh, we'll start with very broad things, and what we are going to talk about today is what is the general scope of pursuing law from outside India, and what are some of the good countries or colleges that you can kind of look while you are making that decision. Then what are some of the eligibilities criteria like, and finally probably we'll also talk about how should one go about or what are the things that one should do when he is kind of thinking of pursuing law. So because law is not a degree, it's a profession or a vocation, right? So you can either practice it for yourself or you can either get a job. So it varies, the opportunities varies of what one wants to do and what is the objective of pursuing that degree from abroad is. So those are the broad things that we are kind of going to talk about, and then at the end I'll be happy to take any questions that there may be to make this topic much more easier to understand. Uh, it's a huge opportunity in my view, because law is a subject and pursuing law is a learning about law without any geographical boundaries is something that is always useful. And even if you want to pursue, even if you want to practice law in India or abroad, anywhere in the world, it's good to have that perspective of how law is seen, let's say in UK and USA, where economies and countries are much more evolved and much more developed than ours. So probably I'd say they are one step ahead on how they have designed their policies, how they designed their constitution, and it has a huge bearing on a lot of things that are related to law. So if I talk about be it civil law, criminal law, corporate law, they are kind of not even one but 10 steps ahead of us. And that is where the opportunity is also huge if we kind of get to study from some of these countries. It's not just about kind of practical approaches that course curriculum in these countries give you. It's also about having a broader perspective on how probably after studying in UK or USA, can you apply those concepts in if you want to practice in India, and how can you make it much more smoother. We always say that India is a country where they're not so there are this I don't know, but there are some 50,000 or 40,000, I don't know the amount, but there are some 50,000 laws that there are. So how can you make it much more smoother and much more functional? So it's very good to understand law from the perspective of that and have a curriculum which is very, very applicable and practical in approach. So that is one of the biggest scopes. Second, about scope after for the career opportunities. Again, I'd say career opportunities in India after pursuing law are still very, very nascent. I think 80-85% of people who pursue law from here are usually practice it for criminal or civil law, because there are hardly any good jobs that you can get into corporate law. So you'd either be an arbitrator, you either be kind of there are hardly any good law firms here in India. So while if you want, the objective is to kind of find a job and find a career abroad after doing law, the opportunities are immense, because there are some of the biggest law firms in India are based out of either US or UK. A lot of investment banking firms have their divisions under mergers and acquisitions, where they hire corporate lawyers to kind of help them with these transactions. So legal advisory is much more evolved and much more has much more scope in UK or US than probably in India. So that is the kind of scope that there is. So scope is definitely immense. If you are passionate about studying law, if you are passionate about the career, scope of an international degree is law is immense. As an education, if you are from India or international student, there are 3 to 5 countries that you look up to while pursuing education, and it's not just limited to law. It's in general. So be it because of the education system, or be it because of the scope that there is after doing a degree. And one of the reasons also is universities from these countries are much recognized and much highly recognized everywhere else in the world. And the countries I'm talking about are USA, Canada, UK, and to an extent Australia. So these are the 3 or 4 countries where who I'd rate kind of highly in terms of law as well. Degree from either of these countries in law is highly recognized everywhere else in the world, and it gives you the kind of it gives you the kind of career push that you need after kind of pursuing this degree. So, and all these universities have. So I'm kind of go a step deeper into probably talking about how can you kind of pursue law in these specific countries, because it's a little different. Let's say pursuing law from UK versus pursuing law from US. So US, for example, law can only be pursued as a postgraduate degree and not a graduate degree. You can have a graduation in any of the subjects or in any other field, but you need to have a graduation. While in UK, if I talk about, you can pursue law even after your 12th without any graduation. So there's a bachelor's of law, which is LLB, that you can pursue straight after 12. So these are the kind of difference. So talking about US, law can be only pursued as a postgraduate degree. It's a 3-year degree program. Some of the universities offers you an accelerated program for 2 years, and the degree is called Juris Doctor. So that is what the US education system for law looks like. Some of the universities which are highly acclaimed in US, Harvard Law School, everyone has heard of that. So University of Yale, University of Stanford, Columbia Law School. So these are some of the highly recognized law schools and university in US. It typically costs about $60,000 to $70,000 yearly to pursue these degrees from US, and you need to take an exam called LSAT to be eligible for all these universities in US. Coming to Canada, so it's very similar to US. In a sense that it can only be pursued as a postgraduate degree. The degree that you get is a 3-year program again. And again, the eligibility is you have to give LSAT to be eligible for all these universities. Where it scores above US probably is the cost. So it costs somewhere around $30,000 to $35,000 on a yearly basis. And some of the highly recognized universities are McGill universities, University of Toronto, or Alberta University, York. So these are some of the highly acclaimed universities. Coming to UK, and UK is actually one of the favorite destinations for a student who wants to pursue law from abroad. One reason probably because there are a lot of similarities in the law in India and UK. We after all were colonized for like 300 years, so most of our constitutional law has been kind of derived from UK. So it has a lot of similarities, and also because the degree can be pursued straight after your 12th, so you don't need to do any bachelor's there to kind of pursue the degree. You can enroll yourself in LLB program or LLM after bachelor's, which is also one of the most popular courses here in UK for law. Again, you don't need to give any LSAT. That's also one of the biggest reasons why UK is one of the favorite destinations for international students. So unlike US or Canada, you don't need to write any competitive exam for getting admission into UK. You can get an admission on the basis of your academic record, extracurricular activities, and usually how any other application would work. So you don't have to, let's say, how you'd apply to an MBA program in UK or MSc Finance. Similarly, it would be for law as well. So law is considered as any other degree without having to give any other exam. And it has some of the best universities of the world. So University of Oxford, University of Cambridge, Queen Mary University of London, University of Liverpool. So all these universities offer a brilliant programs in law, which are very, very popular for not just students in India, but across the world as well. It typically costs you around uh, kind of 15,000 to 20,000 pounds to study law per year in UK, and that is how it compared to US and Canada. So that is a kind of so if you are kind of thinking of kind of pursuing law from UK, US, or Canada, those are the things that you can look at: costs, exams, and the kind of degree that you want to pursue. So, like I said, one of the biggest eligibilities is about having to give LSAT. So, for USA or Canada, and all the good law schools, be it Harvard, Yale, McGill, anywhere where you want to apply, you have to kind of one of the entry requirements for applying to these universities is you have to write LSAT, and it's not an easy exam. So, so that is one thing definitely that is one of the entry requirements for USA and Canada. UK application process is a lot more smooth, to be very honest, because it doesn't require any competitive exam. So it makes it easier for you as a student to kind of, if you want to kind of pursue, it makes it easier for kind of you to kind of start your application without any additional eligibility in terms of exam that you have to give. And it is as simple as like shameless plug, applying to kind of opening up Leverage Edu, signing up, and just having to call a counselor. So they'll take care of the rest. But seriously, coming back, so it's as simple as writing kind of writing a usual application and getting the documents, SOPs, and then here you have an offer. So that is how essentially it is different from UK to US. All the other things with respect to eligibilities and application process in US and Canada are more or less similar. If you have a decent score at LSAT, then you have to kind of submit the relevant documents of your bachelor's degree. Like I said, you don't need to have any relevant degree in law for that. The bachelor's could be in any subject. You need to have a relevant bachelor's degree, and then you can kind of start the application process in UK or US and Canada university. So that is the main difference, is about having to give LSAT. That's it. Very good question, actually, and very interesting question. I'm sure most of the students who kind of are looking to kind of pursue the degree, especially in law from outside, must be having this in mind, because, like I said at the start of the session, it's not just about a degree. Law is a vocation; it's a profession. So you have to be kind of allowed to practice law in a particular country where you want to practice it after studying. So one thing that you have to keep in mind while you are selecting the university or the country is wherever you want to practice law. Let's say you want to practice law in India. So there's a bar council in India. You have to kind of check, and it is listed in bar council. So all the degrees from all the universities that are recognized from here in India, so you have to kind of check on that as an eligibility if you want to practice law in India. Similarly, let's say if you want to practice law in Singapore after studying from US, you have to check on the eligibility from the similar bar council, because most of the countries do have bar councils who kind of give you a license or give you a membership only if you have done a degree from a certain university which is recognized by them. So that is one of the biggest reasons. So you have to check on that. Coming to the second part of it is relevancy. So it's about, let's say, if you're studying law in US and again then practicing in India. So there is not a lot of overlap in terms of let's say, a lot of laws that US has and a lot of laws that India has. So be it criminal law, be it civil law, be it constitution law. So it's not, or be it corporate law. So there are a lot of there are not a lot of overlap. So you have to be very sure that how do you want to use this degree? Are you using this degree only to an extent of, let's say, from a learning perspective, gathering scope, understanding the practicality, and then applying in India, or you are kind of using this degree to get a job or a career, to make a career out of that? Because probably if you are kind of doing law from US and then looking for a job opportunity in India, could be a little difficult, because the applicability might be a little difficult to get that. UK takes away the disadvantage, because, like I said in the middle of one of my answers, there is a lot of overlap between how laws are kind of designed here in India and UK. So we still are following most of the laws that Britishers kind of had drafted for us. So there's still a lot of overlap on how UK laws are, how they are kind of construed, how they are interpreted, and how it's interpreted in India. So it still has some degree of relevance. It still has some degree of resonance if you want to still pursue law in India. But that is about it. Again, two, three things you have to check: whether it will have an applicability of the country where you want to pursue or practice law. Second, whether it is recognized by the Bar Council of the country, and whether you are using the degree or doing this degree to kind of do a job or kind of have your own practice. So these are the three things I'd look at to kind of get whether I'd advise someone to kind of pursue law from outside or not. I hope I have been able to kind of solve most of the queries that our students might have, and looking forward to kind of doing this again with you.